right. Happy Friday, everybody. Let's start in a nice restorative position today. So I did ask if you could grab something like a yoga block or pillow or some folded up towel. Let's start on our backs. It's going to be a restorative bridge pose. So as you're lying down, take a moment to locate your feet with your arms down by your sides. So you want to have your feet back just enough where you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite. And then parallel the feet, lift the pelvis up and slide that pillow or block just under the flat part of your lower back. So you might have to shift it around and bring it closer to the tailbone or closer to the rib cage so that it feels comfortable to rest into. You don't want to feel like you're hyper arching the lower back. And if you feel like your prop is too high, you can just put your pelvis on the floor. And since we did have a request for opening the lower back here, what you could do to broaden it is step the feet wider apart than your hips distance, then drop your knees together to touch, or any way that's comfortable for you. And now if you'd like to also open up the shoulders, you can raise the arms overhead, bend the elbows and catch hold of opposite ones, and then let the shoulders roll down and away from the neck. If that is completely uncomfortable, just release the arms down by your sides with the palms face up. So let's take a moment here to arrive in this sort of heart opening, frontal hip opening posture. I understand that some of us have been sitting for a while today, so this might be a nice way to release the hip flexors, which can get pretty tense from sitting. And it's also a place that is common for carrying emotions, tense emotions. Which brings me to what I'm going to talk about this morning. I like to watch TED Talks, and a recent one that I watched was about the inner critic. I can't remember the name of the expert that was speaking, but she said that, interestingly, we as humans are wired to cling on to negative. When we hear negative criticism towards us, or we experience something negative, it seems to be what's most prominent in our memory looking back. So like if you receive 5 compliments today and you receive 1 criticism, at the end of the day, you might dwell more on that 1 criticism. Why is that? Well, she explained that in caveman days, the cave person comes out of the cave, and let's say on the left is a saber-toothed tiger, on the right is a beautiful rainbow. Well, because of survival, he or she's going to pay more attention to the tiger and use that flight or fight reaction to survive and run. So it's kind of built in us to protect ourselves in that way. But when is our negative thought no longer protecting us? In fact, when does it cross the other side into harming us, or maybe even harming others because it colors the way we perceive our relationships? This morning I sat down for meditation with the focus of shedding this particular negative thought of insecurity that was chattering in my mind repeatedly for the past few days. And so my mantra in meditation was, I am not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. Through a somewhat turbulent meditation of 20 minutes, just before the timer finished it, an insight popped up that said, well, you have the power to choose to believe your thought or to not believe it. It can get so easy to identify ourselves with what we're saying in our heads. But where does that thought come from? The practice of ahimsa is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. It's one of the 5 lists of moral restraints or moral values called yamas. It's actually in the first limb of yoga prior to practicing physical yoga or asanas. And ahimsa translates to non-violence. So how do we cultivate non-violence in our lives so that we reflect the best of ourselves and can fully enjoy a sense of freedom and ease in our living? Not to say that negative stuff is not going to happen, but so that we live in a sense of peace, and that peace carries on to our interactions. How does that work out in the physical practice? Funny, as I was running today, I rolled over my ankle. And I thought, how funny that I chose ahimsa was going to be the practice. Because how do we practice acknowledging what our physical boundaries are so we're not overexerting ourselves in yoga postures, but also not being stagnant, giving just enough effort where we could breathe freely. And noticing that the breath stays calm is a great indicator that we're still in that peaceful state of balance. So I might be modifying some postures, just to warn you. So where you are, allow a deeper breath and notice where in your physical body it's expanding. Through the mouth, empty it. If you want to sigh loudly, feel free. If you want to roar, take a few more breaths like that. Let the way you breathe cultivate the feeling you want to cultivate through this yoga practice today. As you set your intention. And with awareness of your breath, start to lift your hips and remove that prop that might be underneath your lower back. Bend your knees towards your chest and either rock side to side or forward and back so that you can gently lift your body up to sit tall. You might even take that prop and sit on it. And as you sit tall, bring your hands to your stomach. Close the lips and continue to breathe more into the belly using your diaphragm. Equal in breath, equal out breath. You might even close the eyes and direct your gaze just between the eyebrows, focusing on the depth and balance of your breath. Now, as we have been practicing for the past few weeks, 1 minute of Bhastrika or bellows breath, energizing, warming breath that helps to clear the mind. If you want to practice it, here's a quick demo. We begin with the elbows bent apart, hands like fists. With a deep belly breath in, the arms rise, fingers spread. Deep exhale through the nose, the elbows rebend. It's like this. Great for increasing oxygen intake in the lungs. So if you're going to start with this, bend your elbows out to the side, sit tall but relax the shoulders, and close your eyes. Focus on a steadiness to the breath. Let's begin for 1 minute. Relax, release your hands down and just breathe naturally and observe. Let's ease into Ujjayi Pranayama or victorious breath. Still closing the lips, sustaining the breath through the nose while gently narrowing the back of your throat. Listening to a steady whispering sound. Staying in tune with your breath. Gently open your eyes and straighten your left leg forward as we prepare for a seated spinal twist. So set your right foot either just in front of the hip or crossed outside of your left knee, in which you might also bend your left knee, making sure that your two sitting bones are grounded. Backstroke your right hand just behind your pelvis and raise your left arm. Now, as you breathe in, press into the ground, lift up through the center of your spine, open the chest. As you breathe out, turn your chest to the right and lower your left arm, either holding your shin or hooking your elbow outside of the thigh. As you breathe in, keep lengthening up through the crown of your head. Notice that your chin remains parallel to the floor. As you breathe out, let the belly hollow. Keep turning the chest, softening the tops of your shoulders down. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Great way to decompress the spine, help to release tension in the back, while gently massaging and stimulating your digestive organs. At the end of this breath, unwind your spine, and we'll go right to the other side. See if you can do the same setup for side 2, unless there's something different going on in the body. So left foot in front of the hip or outside of the right knee, in which you might also bend the right knee. Backstroke the left hand behind your pelvis, raise the right arm, press into the ground, sit tall as you inhale. Twist to your left as you exhale. Lower your right arm, either holding your shin or hooking your elbow outside of the thigh. Breathe in, keep rooting down to rise up. Breathe out, feel the belly hollow as you turn your chest. Feel how your collarbones broaden while lifting your heart center. Chin parallels the floor as you lengthen through the back of your skull. Last couple of breaths. Keep sliding your shoulder blades down your back ribs. At the end of this breath, gently unwind. And let's begin standing at the very top of your mat. If you happen to like using blocks, you can place them on either side of your heels. Set up your feet at least hips width apart, maybe a little wider if you're feeling tightness in the back of the body. Then as you parallel your second toes, spread your toes, and with an inhale, sweep your arms overhead. With your right hand, catch hold of your left wrist. Keep the shoulders down, lift the spine taller, then side bend to your right, taking a few breaths here. Now feel that your 2 frontal hip bones continue to face forward. Your tailbone is energetically rooting towards the ground between your heels. Allow your breath to create space in the left side of your rib cage. Relaxing the eyes and the muscles around them, take 1 more deep breath in this lateral stretch. Firming the lower abdomen, inhale, rise up, and switch, holding the right wrist. Keeping the shoulders relaxed, root down through both feet and stand a little taller as you inhale. To the left, exhale, side bend for a few breaths. Again, feel your frontal hip bones evenly facing forward, your tailbone anchoring towards the ground between your heels, and your shoulders staying relaxed away from your neck. If you happen to have a hyper flexible back, you might feel the front ribs start to protrude. Just soften them in towards the back of your body. Let's take 1 more breath, filling up space in the right side of your rib cage. Engage the lower belly. Inhale to rise. Bring the hands behind you and interlace your fingers, or you can grab a strap to hold between the hands. Lifting the heart, bend the elbows closer together. Take a deep breath. Bending your knees generously, tilt your weight heavier on the balls of your feet and exhale to fold. Drop your head. You might take a moment to shake it, nod it, and loosen up your neck and jaw. Stay aware of your breathing here as you start to straighten one leg, bending the opposite knee a lot more, and lean into your straight leg while lifting the arms away from your lower back, shoulders away from your neck. Then you might switch the interlacing of your fingers on top as you switch legs, straightening the opposite leg as you bend the other knee, leaning towards your straight leg. Relax the neck, arms lifting away from the lower back. Take 1 more breath. And then come back through center. Let your arms dangle. You might even hold opposite elbows if you want to sway the spine and get a little more release in it. Calm, deep breathing through the nose. Keep your weight a little heavier on the balls of your feet and perhaps the knees bent, especially if you have any tightness in the back of your body. And press your fingertips either on blocks in front of you, the ground ahead, or your shins or thighs. Breathing in to stretch your spine parallel to the floor, look towards the tip of your nose. Then lower your fingertips to the ground and step the left knee behind you into a kneeling lunge. Untuck the back toes and separate your legs hips distance. Stacking the front knee just over the heel. Firm the right foot down and either press your hands onto your front thigh to lift the torso up or right away sweep the arms overhead. Now feel the weight of both of your feet, even the top of your left foot behind you. As you press down, bring your attention to the bottom of your spine. And with the inhale, imagine you're restacking each vertebra, creating a little more space between. Feel the tailbone anchored downward, maybe even slightly forward. And as you let the back ribs rise away from the tailbone, feel the space in your lower back. Now relax the shoulders down and tilt the heart up. Broadening the chest, let's take 2 more breaths. Feel your fingertips lift a little higher, though the shoulders stay relaxed. Now with an exhalation, lower your hands flat onto the ground and step onto all fours, hands and knees. Set up your hands the way you'd like to for cat-cow. Like if you'd want to strengthen the wrists, you can make spider fingers, come up high in the finger pads. Or if you'd like to stretch the wrists, you can spin the fingertips to turn out. With an inhale, glide the spine forward, then coil your chest up into cow pose. With an exhale, contract your belly and round your back into cat pose. Keep going. Inhale, the spine forward, then coil the chest up. Exhale, contract the belly and round the back. A few more breaths. Now come back to plank, whether the knees remain on the floor or the legs are straight and the heels are firming back, so fronts of the thighs are engaged. And let's take 3 to 5 breaths in plank. Stacking your shoulders right at top of your wrists and spreading the fingers wide. Rebounding your weight off the floor to your hands so you feel space in your shoulder joints. Gaze forward, take a deep breath. Now slowly as you exhale, glide forward. Then bend your elbows back to hug your side ribs. Come all the way down to the floor. Let's start in Sphinx pose. Point your toes back, knees no wider than hips width. And then slide your elbows forward so they're slightly in front of your shoulders while you lift the chest. Forearms parallel in front of you. Give them the energy as if you're dragging them towards your hips without actually moving them. Use that to send the shoulders back and down as you breathe space across your chest. Feel the length in the back of your neck, rooted to your legs and feet and pelvis. Take 1 more breath. Now, if you've got lower back tension, this might be a better option than cobra or even upward facing dog when we're flowing. So keep that in mind as you practice ahimsa. If you are moving to cobra, place your wrists alongside your floating ribs. Bend your elbows to hug your sides and keep your pelvis and feet heavy on the ground. Breathe in to lift the chest, looking slightly down. Slide the shoulder blades downward. Now pressing up to plank or all fours, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths. If it's the first one of your day, you might want to shift around, like pedal the feet in place, swivel the hips side to side, or maybe move the head around gently. Feeling deep, liberating breaths. Now ground to your hands and inhale, raise the left leg behind you. As you exhale, softly land the foot just inside of your left hand, setting the right knee down and untucking the toes. With your legs hips width apart, stack the front knee over the heel. Firm down through the front foot and either press your hands on your front thigh or right away raise the arms upright into Anjaneyasana. Now feel the energy in your legs. Without visibly moving them, imagine as though you're dragging them towards each other. Root down through both feet. Now again, bring your attention to the bottom of your spine, and from there, imagine with the inhalation, you're restacking each vertebra on top and creating even more space between, lifting all the way through your neck and even to your crown. As you reach up through the fingertips, soften the shoulders, taking just a few more breaths. Perhaps you even tilt the tailbone forward and lift the back ribs away from it, feeling space in your lower back. Deep inhale. As you exhale, circle your hands to the front of your mat and step forward to bow. Pressing through both feet, inhale, sweep your arms, rising up to stand. Exhale, join your hands at your heart. Let's change it up on side two. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead, gaze up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, press with your fingertips and lengthen forward. Exhale, lower the fingertips, step the ball of your right foot back, this time into a high lunge. Feet hips width apart, front knee over the heel. Energetically drag the feet towards each other. And then raise the left arm to the sky, coming into a spinal twist. Now here, you do have the option of returning the right knee to the ground. That's one way to modify, or placing your right hand on a block. Let it be more important to make sure that your two hips stay leveled and your neck has good space. Your breath is even and calm. And then you can venture deeper into the twist with all of that in place. Rotating the rib cage, breath by breath. Let's take 2 more breaths here. With your exhalation, lower your 2 hands and let's step right into plank of your choice. Knees down or legs straight. Take 1 inhalation there. Use the exhale to glide forward and lower either all the way down for Sphinx or Cobra or halfway down for upward facing dog. Breathing in as you lift the chest. Breathing out, let's come back to downward facing dog. As you root down through fingers spread, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. As you exhale, softly land that foot just inside of your right hand. Stay on the ball of your left foot. Fingertips stay down as you take a moment to level out your hips. You do have the option of lowering the back knee. Draw the shoulders back, firm in the legs, steady in the center. Raise the right arm and begin to turn your chest to the right. Breathe in, feel length from lower to upper spine. Breathe out, contain your center as you continue to explore the twist. Let's take 2 last breaths here. As you exhale, lower the right hand outside of the right foot and step left foot next to right, forward fold. Press to your feet and now rise, palms meeting towards the sky. Exhale, join your hands at your heart. Sun salutation A. Inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Either step to plank or lightly jump to chaturanga, lowering forward, then down, choosing your back bend that's appropriate for you today. Breathe in there, and we'll meet in downward facing dog for a few breaths. Now in downward dog, again, root down to the hands and inhale, raise the right leg behind you. This time bend the knee, turn open at the hip, and if you like, you can rotate the right leg a few times as we warm up the right hip. You could flip it over into tripod back bend if you want to add a heart opener, lifting the chest. Then coming back to 3-legged dog where your hips are squared, straighten the right leg behind you and take a deep breath. Then set the foot down just outside of your right hand, coming into lizard lunge. Set the back knee down and begin to flex your right foot, keeping it flexed as you splay the right knee open. Oh, I'm modifying for this. My ankle doesn't like that. So don't copy me. And then from here, you could have your forearms on blocks. If you feel like it's appropriate to go deeper into this right outer hip, or forearms on the ground. There's also a variation where you can reach for your back thigh, your back foot, stretching into the front of the thigh. That's where you bend the left knee and backstroke the right arm to catch hold of the foot. So as you breathe, feel the space in your neck and shoulders. Continue to honor that, welcoming deep breaths. And as we create space in the right outer hip, outer thigh, as well as the lower back, gently scissor your right outer hip towards the rear of your mat. Let's take 3 more breaths in your version of lizard lunge. Now releasing the back leg if you have it, set your hands at the top of your mat and step your right foot between them, right at the front and center of your mat, preparing for warrior 2. Tuck the back toes and straighten the leg, spinning the heel down, and align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. Bending the front knee just over the ankle, press to your feet and cartwheel your arms to rise up. Now, in this wide stance, see your wrists pretty much hover above your ankles. Draw the shoulders down. Feel your upright pelvis that's shaped like a bowl, allowing your spine to be upright in its full length as you draw the tailbone downward and lift the heart. Steady your gaze just in front of your right hand or close your eyes. If you're feeling a lot of heaviness in the tops of your shoulders and your neck, one way to vary this is to turn the palms face up, rotating the shoulders back and down. As you settle into your version of choice, let's take 3 more breaths. Now let's prepare for triangle pose. Straighten the front leg. You might shorten your stance a couple inches for more stability. Engage the fronts of your thighs and slide your pelvis sideways towards the back edge of your mat while reaching your right hand forward towards the front of your mat. Then set the right hand down on your right leg or just to the right side of it, pressing arm and leg against each other if the latter. Keep rolling your right outer hip underneath your body. And now direct your tailbone to lengthen towards your left outer heel. While rooting down through that left outer heel, lengthen through the crown of your head diagonally towards the front wall of your room. As you raise the left arm, turn your chest slightly towards the sky, maybe gazing towards your left thumb. Breathing in, breathing out. What does the quality of your breath have to tell you about the way you're balancing your energy in this pose? Effort with ease. Last 2 breaths. Utthita Trikonasana. Now, those of you that want to move into half moon pose, I'm not sure that I'll be able to do it, but I'll guide you to do it if you want to. To half moon, you might bring your left hand to your left hip to help you transition. Bend your right knee, crawl your right fingertips in front of and to the right of your right pinky toe. Drag your left foot forward and flex the foot. Begin to lift the heel towards the height of your hip and turn your chest completely to face the left wall. Now draw that right sitting bone again underneath your body and reach your tailbone towards your left outer heel. Flex your left foot as though it was pressing firmly against a ground or wall. And feel your spine lengthen forward, maybe raising the left arm. Breathing in, breathing out. If there's a variation you want to explore, feel free. There's full moon pose where you bend the left knee towards the belly and catch the top of the foot. Or when you feel ready to land, we'll meet in warrior two, trying to softly step the left foot back to the ground. And when you arrive in warrior two, take a couple deep breaths. Then with an exhalation, lower your hands to the floor. Optional if you want to flow, take a vinyasa or cat-cow. Otherwise, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Breathe in. Breathe out. Couple more breaths. Can you feel your sitting bones actively lifting back, allowing space from lower back to neck? Now with an inhale, raise your left leg behind you. As you exhale, bend that knee, turn open at the hip. Now choose what you want to do here. You could rotate the left thigh at the hip a few times, warming up the hip joint. You could flip it over into tripod, stepping the ball of your left foot outside the right edge of your mat, lifting the pelvis, opening the chest towards the sky. Staying in tune with your energy indicator, that is your breath quality. Then make your way back to three-legged downward facing dog. Raising the left leg behind you, straighten it and square your hips. Breathe in here. As you exhale, tap the left knee to the outside of your left upper arm, softly landing the foot outside of your left hand. Lower your back knee in lizard lunge. Now decide what variation, which might be the same as you did on the first side. Flexing the left foot. Perhaps you splay the left thigh open, getting a little deeper into the left outer hip and thigh, the IT band. You might add lengthening your right quadricep by bending the right knee and backstroking your left arm to catch hold of your right foot, bringing it closer. You might come down to the forearm or forearms, maybe on blocks or on the floor. Notice your breathing and how it guides you. Notice your physical sensations and how they guide you. It's pretty amazing that we have these sensory team of support. How powerful sometimes is the unseen. Let's take one more breath. Now do release the back leg if you have hold of it. Bring your hands in front of you. Set your left foot between the hands, front and center on your mat. Straighten the right leg and spin the heel down. Preparing for warrior two. Align your left heel to the arch of your right foot. Then cartwheel the arms apart to rise. So here, pretty much you want a wide enough stance where your ankles land right under your wrists, unless you're modifying like me, having a shorter stance. Turn your chest completely to face the right wall and feel that your left leg is completely facing your front wall. Pelvic bowl sits upright, encouraging the fullest length of your spine as you center it between your feet. Steady your gaze just past the left hand or close your eyes. And if you did so on the first side, that modification for the shoulders to relax, You could roll the upper arms and turn the palms to face up. Breathe. Practicing kindness with ourselves. Last 2 breaths. Now from here, let's prepare for triangle. Straighten your left leg. You might shorten your stance a couple inches. Engage the front of your thighs and glide your pelvis sideways towards the rear edge of your mat while reaching your left hand forward, then down to your leg or just to the left of it, maybe on a block. Feel that your left outer hip and sitting bone are slightly rolling under your body as you direct your tailbone to reach towards your right outer heel. Follow the opposite end of that line through the crown of your head and lengthen in that direction too. Feel your arms wide open, your shoulders relaxed, freeing space for calm, full, and liberating breaths. Let's take 2 more here. Now look down and let's prepare for half moon. Steady your gaze on the ground in front of your left foot. You might like to place your right hand on your right hip to help you transition. Bend your left knee and crawl your left fingertips forward and to the left of your left pinky toe. Drag your right foot forward and flex the foot as you lift the heel about the height of your hip. Turn your chest completely to face the right wall, stacking your shoulders over your left wrist. How's your breathing? How's the body and its sensations guiding you to find your parameters of depth in this pose, where you can balance effort and ease? Any variation you want to explore, or if you feel ready to, softly step back to Warrior Two. When you land in Warrior Two, take a couple deep breaths. This time, let's slide the back foot to meet the front foot and come to stand at the top of your mat, feet touching. Preparing for another standing balancing pose. So with your feet together, shift your weight onto your left foot. Turn out your right leg from the hip and hug the inside of your left ankle, calf, or thigh. Feel your pelvic bowl upright. Lift up through the center of your spine. And then play with wherever you want to place your arms as you play with your balance in tree for a few more breaths. Vrikshasana. Great focus, everyone. Now smile. Let's bring the hands together at the heart. And set your right foot down. Let it go. Shake it out, dance it out if you like. And side 2. So bring the feet to touch. Join your hands at your hearts. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Turn out your left leg from the hip. So you feel how that's similar to the front leg of Warrior Two. Sitting bone wraps under. And then hug the inside of your ankle, calf, or thigh. Balance out the pelvis. Feel rooted through the 4 corners of the standing foot. And then continue to rise with each breath. If you like that visual, Imagine breathing from the base of the spine, more space between each vertebra, so you feel a little lighter, a little taller with each breath. Growing towards the sun. Beautiful. Last couple of breaths. Vrikshasana, tree pose. Then let your hands meet at your heart. Set that foot down. Shake it out. Breathe it out. Whatever you need. And we'll meet at the top of your mat. Let your feet come together as we take one round of a slow flow sun salutation B. Bend your knees together and sit back towards your heels for 3 breaths in chair pose. Long spine, space in the lower back, shoulders relaxed, weight towards the heels. Take another inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen forward. Step or float back. We'll meet in downward facing dog after you take your version of your vinyasa. Arriving in downward facing. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, step the foot forward inside of your right hand and set the back heel down. With your feet about hips distance, keep your hips facing forward, then rise up to stand. Just about 3 breaths in Warrior One. Steady your eyes right away. One more inhale. Use the entire exhale to lower through plank into your choice of vinyasa. When you arrive at downward dog, inhale, raise the left leg behind you. Exhale, step the foot inside of your left hand. Spin the back heel down. Root to your feet. Inhale, rise to Warrior One. Take a few breaths. Deep inhale.
Welcome.
Exhale down for your last vinyasa if you want to take it. Don't worry, we don't have a surprise visitor. That was just the music. Let's meet in downward facing dog. Breathing in, breathing out. A couple more breaths, then we'll finish this vinyasa, this sun salutation. Now bend your knees and look forward. Bottom of the exhale, float or walk your feet to the top. Let them touch. Breathe in to lengthen halfway. Breathe out to fold. With knees touching, inhale, sit low in chair pose. Now imagine you're gliding your back down a wall as you sit all the way down. Lifting your legs, yep, you know it, boat pose, one round. Once you're lifting the legs, they can be straight or knees bent. Lift your spine. Remember in tree when we're feeling the spine get lighter and lighter with each breath? Find that here. Deep breath in. Exhale, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Can you be kind to yourself while having rigor in the practice? Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale. Exhale, 2. One more breath. Exhale, slowly set the feet down, bring the feet together to touch, and bend your knees apart. Bound angle pose. So slide your heels close to your pelvis where you can sit tall as you press down with the sitting bones. And then lift your heart and open your throat, keeping those 2 as you hinge forward from your hips. A few breaths. Great posture for opening the sacrum, creating space in your lower back, as well as opening the hips. Let's take one more breath here in Baddha Konasana. Now lead with your chest and inhale to slowly rise up. So let's take 1 minute. Choose your heated inversion to practice if you have one that you normally practice or want to. Downward facing dog, dolphin pose, headstand, forearm balance, tripod headstand, handstand. If you don't have one in mind, go for a downward facing dog or dolphin, where the elbows are on the floor, fingers are interlaced, legs are like downward dog. So let's give ourselves a minute to practice that. Feel free to take breaks within it and come into child's pose, where we'll eventually meet. Taking your time when you're ready to. Arriving in child's pose, take a few breaths. Then in child's pose, place your hands on the ground alongside your knees. Tuck your chin to your chest. With an inhale, slowly roll your spine upright to sit. Let's prepare for our last couple of back bends in camel pose, Ustrasana. So we're going to be standing on the knees, and if you need more cushion, you could fold your mat thicker on that side. If you do have a yoga block or something firm like it, good idea to give your lower back support by hugging the skinniest width, about the size, right between your thighs. Basically, you want your knees to be hips width apart. Let's begin the first one by tucking the toes. Place your hands on your lower back. With your fingertips face down, encourage the flesh of your glutes to release downward towards the backs of your knees. Notice how that creates more length in the lower back. Continue that length by lifting the back ribs away from the pelvis. As you take a deeper breath, roll the shoulders behind you and down and begin to tilt your heart up. Beginning to gaze up. Now taking 5 to 10 breaths in total, we'll roll back up and sit to rest. If reachable, you could send one hand down to hold one heel or both hands down, mindful not to let the pelvis move behind the knees, but keep pressing the hips forward so the pelvis stays right above the knees. You want to feel the arch happen mostly right under your shoulder blades, not the lower back. When you decide to sit down, let's take about 3 breaths. You could use your block or pillow as a stool between your ankles if you like, and just close your eyes. Take notice of how you feel after that. All right, last one. Back to the setup, block between the thighs. Further, untuck the toes and flatten the tops of the feet on the floor. Place your hands on your lower back, fingertips face down. Guide the tailbone downward, keep the hips above the knees, then lift the back ribs, bend the elbows closer together. Deep breaths. Roll the shoulder heads back and press them down as you lift the heart, arching mostly from right under your scapula. If accessible, reach for one heel, keeping the hips above the knees, or reach for both heels. 5 to 10 breaths in total. Then we'll meet sitting down. With the help of your hands on your lower back, when you're ready, lift the spine and sit for a moment. Maybe placing your hands at your heart. With steady breaths through the nose, gently open your eyes. We're going to set up for a restorative, nice deep spine releasing twist. So if you have a block or pillow, place it at the front of your mat. Then sit down so that your right hip faces the front of your mat, and you're extending both legs towards the left side of your mat. Then slide your left leg to the back of your mat. So you now have an L shape. Place your two hands at the front of your mats, maybe framing your block. Then turn your chest completely to face the front of your mat, which may require swiveling the right hip slightly back or bending the knees. Make any adjustments from pelvis to feet so that you can comfortably turn the chest completely forward. Now, maybe staying on your hands is plenty of a twist. We're going to be here for a full minute before we switch sides. Or you might come down to your belly, perhaps using that pillow to catch it. Come onto your forearms. You can even deepen the twist, if available to you, by sliding the left arm under the right bent elbow, resting the left side of your head on the ground or on a pillow. We've got about 40 more seconds here of deep breaths. Is there any part of your body feeling resistant to this posture? What can you do to experience a feeling of surrender here, of allowing? Let's take one more deep breath. Slowly pressing your hands on the floor or your prop, lift your spine upright. Keep the pillow or block at the front of your mat and turn to face the back of your mat, sitting upright with legs straight towards the back. Dandasana, stick pose. And just place your hands alongside your hips and take a couple of breaths to feel the effects of that twist. Now keep your right leg where it is. Slide your left leg towards the opposite side of your mat. Then turn your hands to the front of your mat again. Turn your chest completely to face the front and make any adjustments of your pelvis or legs, like bending the knees, sliding the left hip further back. And then for the next minute here, find the depth of this twist that honors your body and practice today as it evolves in the minute. If you're looking for a deeper twist, you could lift the left elbow, slide the right arm underneath it, and rest the right side of your head on the floor or on your prop. Okay, we've got about 40 more seconds here. Can you let your limbs just be heavy without trying to hold them up? Feel your feet relax. You've got one more deep breath here. Then press your hands in front of you to slowly lift your torso. This time we'll sit with the legs at the front of your mat. Ground your sitting bones firmly and lift the rib cage. Relax the shoulders down and open your throat. Then begin to hinge from your hips, whether holding a strap or crawling your hands down your legs. Breathe in. Continue to create space between each vertebra of your spine. Breathe out. Let the belly hollow, offering support for your lower back. As you hinge, ground your pelvis. Let's take 3 last breaths here in Paschimottanasana. With your in-breath, float your heart up to lift your spine. Separate your feet a little wider than hips distance. Now, if you do have 2 blocks or you have a long foam roller or pillow, if you'd like some release for your lower back while we lie in Shavasana, you could place them or it right under the backs of your knees. 1 block under each or 1 long pillow under both. Just like that, supporting a light bend in your knees. And then lower your spine and land right in it, turning the palms face up or setting the left hand on the heart, right hand on the lower belly. And once your body meets the ground, close your eyes. Maybe you'd like to take 1 last deep controlled breath, a big exhale through the mouth. And then just let go of controlling it. Let the muscles in your body soften. Let your body feel physically held as you continue to hold space for you and each other. Begin to wake up your body as though you are waking up someone you dearly love. Ease into simple movements, good feeling stretch, maybe a big yawn, and perhaps you keep your eyes closed as you, in your own way, gradually lift your body up to sit. For those of you who are staying for the 10 minutes of meditation we now have on Fridays, find a comfortable way to sit. Otherwise, have a good weekend. I invite you in this practice, if you don't have a particular meditation practice in mind, to just begin physically grounding. Feel what is under your body. Gently press into it and allow a full lift in your spine. Allow your body to feel relaxed. Then observe your breathing in its calm, natural flow. A practice I found useful, as I mentioned earlier, was chanting my self-created mantra. So perhaps you have one that you would like to reinforce about yourself or how you're feeling, that you could repeat to the natural cadence of your breath, either in your mind or out loud if you wish. What was helpful for me was this mantra: I am not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. But do what works for you in your language, and I'm setting the timer for 10 minutes. Allow a deep breath to enliven your body again as you exhale through the mouth. Bring your palms to meet at your heart. Closing the practice. And thank you for sharing your practice. One Om, if you'd like to join me, take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.